Some people think life's hardest moments are meant to break them. But what if I told you they're actually invitations to become unstoppable? Every struggle you face is not a wall blocking your path. It's the weight that will build your strength if you choose to lift it. Every person, at some point in life, encounters moments when circumstances seem to conspire against them. Plans fall apart, opportunities vanish, relationships strain, and uncertainty becomes the constant companion. In such times, it is natural for the human mind to interpret these difficulties as punishments or signs of bad fortune. Yet this interpretation often blinds us to a profound truth. Challenges are not here to destroy us, but to develop us. They are not punishments from life, but messages, invitations to rise to a higher version of ourselves. When adversity strikes, the initial reaction is often emotional. Frustration, fear, or even anger fills the mind. We question why such things happen to us, why the path we were walking has suddenly been blocked. But what if this block is not meant to stop you, but to redirect you toward a better route? Every challenge carries with it the potential for transformation, but that transformation can only occur if we choose to see the situation as an opportunity rather than a sentence. The mindset you hold in these moments determines whether the challenge will crush you or craft you into something greater. Consider the seed buried beneath the soil. To the casual eye, it appears trapped, hidden away from light, surrounded by pressure and weight. But in truth, this environment is exactly what it needs to awaken its potential. The pressure forces it to break open, to grow roots, to push upward through the darkness until it reaches the light. Without the resistance of the soil, the seed would remain dormant, never becoming what it was meant to be. In the same way, life's challenges bury us in unfamiliar situations, not to keep us down, but to force us to dig deep to grow, and to reach for the light within ourselves. When you view challenges as punishments, you close yourself off from the lessons they hold. You focus only on the discomfort, and in doing so, you miss the growth that is trying to happen. But when you shift your perception and see them as opportunities, you begin to search for what can be learned, what new skill can be developed, and what strength can be uncovered. This shift transforms hardship into a kind of training ground where each obstacle is a piece of equipment designed to make you stronger. Those who have achieved great things in life often look back on their most difficult seasons as the periods that shaped them the most. They speak of failures that taught them humility, losses that deepened their compassion, and setbacks that revealed their resilience. They understand that if life had been easy, they would not have developed the endurance, patience, or clarity that ultimately led them to success. The challenge was the tuition they paid for the wisdom they now possess. It is in this understanding that we find our power. We cannot always control the storms that come our way, but we can control how we interpret them. And when we choose to interpret them as opportunities rather than punishments, we place ourselves in the position to grow, adapt, and rise above. Strength is not something we are born with in its fullest form. It is something we cultivate through the experiences life places before us. Adversity is the crucible in which that strength is forged. When everything is easy, when the road is smooth and the conditions are favorable, there is little reason to stretch beyond our comfort zone. It is only when the winds grow strong and the path becomes steep that we discover what we are truly capable of enduring. Struggle demands effort, and that effort awakens dormant abilities that would otherwise remain hidden. The trials we face are like weights placed into our hands. At first, they feel overwhelming, heavy, and impossible to lift. But the more we persist in lifting them, the more our capacity grows. In the same way that muscles develop through resistance, the human spirit develops through hardship. Without challenges, strength has no reason to emerge. Each difficulty is a test, not to prove what we already know about ourselves, but to reveal the depths of resilience we have yet to discover. Often, we underestimate the strength we possess until we have no choice but to use it. A person might believe they could never endure certain losses, never survive certain changes. Yet, when those moments arrive, something deep within them rises. That inner reserve of determination and courage becomes visible only under pressure. It is in the middle of the storm that we learn how to navigate fierce winds, and it is in the darkness that we learn how to create light. Adversity forces us to tap into parts of ourselves we didn't know existed. These moments of struggle not only build strength, but also shape character. Strength that is born from adversity carries with it humility, compassion, and understanding. When you have walked through your own fires, you develop a deeper empathy for others walking through theirs. Hardship refines us, stripping away what is unnecessary and sharpening what is essential. It teaches patience, persistence, and the value of endurance. While comfort can make us complacent, adversity makes us alert, resourceful, and prepared. History is filled with examples of individuals who turned their greatest hardships into sources of extraordinary strength. It was not the easy seasons that defined them, but the seasons where everything seemed to work against them. They understood that adversity was not their enemy. It was the training ground for the victories ahead. Every trial they overcame became a foundation for the confidence to face the next. This process is not always visible while it is happening, but in time, the changes become undeniable. When life presents difficulty, it is as though it is asking a question: how much will you grow from this? Every hardship carries the potential to leave you either weaker or stronger, depending on the choice you make and how you face it. Choosing to endure, to adapt, and to keep moving forward ensures that what was meant to break you becomes the very thing that builds you. Obstacles are not random interruptions to the journey. They are deliberate stages along the path meant to prepare us for what lies ahead. Each difficulty we face is a test, a challenge designed to stretch our capacity and develop the qualities necessary for greater achievements. Without them, the victories we seek would be hollow because we would arrive unprepared to sustain them. The trials of today are shaping the skills, discipline, and mindset we will need tomorrow. When we encounter an obstacle, the immediate tendency is to see it as a setback, something unfair or unnecessary. Yet, when examined closely, every obstacle contains lessons and opportunities that comfort could never provide. They require us to think creatively, to solve problems under pressure, and to persist when the easier choice would be to stop. This process strengthens our ability to handle uncertainty and builds a resilience that cannot be acquired in easy times. Consider an athlete in training. If they only practiced in perfect conditions, free from fatigue or resistance, they would never develop the stamina required for competition. It is precisely the demanding drills, the exhaustion, and the difficult conditions that prepare them to perform at their best when it matters most. Life functions in much the same way. The obstacles you face are part of your training. They force you to adapt, to adjust your approach, and to keep moving even when the path ahead is unclear. Many people dream of success but wish to bypass the process of preparation. They want the outcome without the trials that build the strength to hold it. However, life rarely grants such shortcuts. The preparation is not optional because it is in the process of overcoming obstacles that you become the kind of person who can handle greater responsibility, influence, or achievement. Without that transformation, success might arrive, but it would not last. Obstacles also reveal the depth of our commitment. It is easy to declare big goals when nothing stands in the way, but true commitment is measured by how you respond when the path is blocked. Will you find another way forward, or will you stop entirely? The act of overcoming even small obstacles reinforces the belief that you can handle larger ones. With each challenge conquered, your confidence grows, and the fear of future difficulties diminishes. Often, what we see as a barrier is actually a guide. It forces us to reconsider our direction, to refine our strategy, or to gain experience that will prove invaluable later. In some cases, an obstacle closes one door only to push us toward a better opportunity we would have otherwise missed. This shift in perspective can transform frustration into gratitude, as we begin to see that the obstacle was not there to block us permanently, but to prepare us for something greater. The path to meaningful achievement will never be free from challenges, and that is by design. Each obstacle you face is part of the preparation, ensuring that when the moment of opportunity arrives, you are not only ready to seize it, but also strong enough to sustain its strength. Is not a gift that appears without cause. It is the result of enduring and overcoming difficulty. Just as physical muscles grow only when they are pushed beyond their usual limits, the muscles of character develop when life places resistance in our way. In comfort, there is little reason to adapt or grow. It is the challenges that disrupt our ease which demand that we reach deeper, think differently, and act with more determination than before. This is why periods of hardship, though unwelcome at first, often produce the most lasting inner strength. When we are tested by difficulty, we are forced into situations where the familiar tools and methods may no longer work. This is where growth begins. To meet the challenge, we must learn new ways of thinking, adopt new strategies, and develop patience, persistence, and discipline. Every obstacle requires effort, and in the act of applying that effort, we become stronger without even realizing it. Over time, what once seemed unbearable becomes manageable, and what was once impossible becomes routine. There is a direct parallel between the physical process of building strength and the emotional or mental process. In physical training, muscles must experience resistance and even small tears to grow stronger. The body responds to stress by repairing and reinforcing itself so it can handle greater loads in the future. In life, each difficulty we survive works in the same way. The stress of a challenge might feel damaging in the moment, but as we work through it, we adapt and emerge more capable than before. Without these tests, our resilience would remain untested and undeveloped. This kind of growth is rarely visible in the moment. In the middle of a struggle, the focus is often on survival, on getting through the day or the situation. Yet afterward, when the pressure eases, we can look back and see that we handled far more than we believed possible. We recognize that the patience we exercised, the courage we summoned, and the focus we maintained have become part of who we are. These qualities remain with us long after the specific challenge has passed, preparing us for future storms. It is important to understand that hardship does not simply give strength automatically. It offers the opportunity to develop it. The choice lies in whether we engage with the challenge or attempt to escape it entirely. Avoiding every difficulty denies us the chance to grow, much like refusing to lift weights would keep our muscles weak. Facing hardship, on the other hand, forces us to put in the work that transforms us. In this way, the very moments we once wished away often become the foundation of our greatest strengths. The patience, problem-solving skills, and resilience born out of struggle cannot be learned through ease alone. They must be earned through experience, through moments where the pressure was high, the path unclear, and yet the decision was made to keep moving forward. Perspective is the lens through which we interpret our experiences, and it has the power to change the meaning of any challenge we face. When hardship arrives, the natural instinct is to ask, "Why me?" This question focuses on blame, misfortune, and the perceived unfairness of the situation. It places us in a position of helplessness, as though life has singled us out for suffering without purpose. But shifting the question to, "What can I learn from this?" transforms the moment entirely. It moves us from victimhood to empowerment, from dwelling on what has gone wrong to searching for what can be gained. This shift in perspective is not about denying the pain or difficulty of a situation. It is about recognizing that within every challenge lies an opportunity for growth, insight, or improvement. Asking, "What can I learn?" engages the mind in problem solving rather than self-pity. It turns attention toward solutions and away from obstacles. In this way, perspective becomes a tool, not just for coping, but for advancing in the face of adversity. When the mind searches for meaning, it often finds connections that are invisible to those who are focused only on the unfairness of a challenge. A setback in one area may lead to a skill that proves invaluable later. A loss may create space for something better to enter. A period of struggle may develop resilience that becomes essential for future opportunities. None of these benefits are obvious in the moment, but they are revealed to those who choose to look beyond the surface of the hardship. Changing perspective also reduces the weight of a challenge. Problems feel heavier when we see them only as burdens, but they become lighter when we view them as lessons. For example, a difficult relationship might be seen as nothing more than a source of frustration. Yet, when examined through the lens of growth, it can teach patience, communication, or boundaries, skills that will serve for a lifetime. This reframing does not erase the difficulty, but it transforms its value. There is also a psychological advantage to adopting this mindset. Focusing on what can be learned creates a sense of control, even in uncontrollable circumstances. It reminds us that while we cannot always choose what happens to us, we can always choose how we respond. This choice is where personal power resides. It is where strength begins to take root, because the moment we decide to look for meaning, we stop being powerless in the face of our situation. Those who consistently shift their perspective in this way begin to approach challenges differently over time. Instead of dreading them, they see them as part of the process of becoming stronger and wiser. They no longer resist the lessons life offers, even when those lessons are delivered in difficult forms. This mindset does not make life easier, but it makes us better equipped to live it with courage and purpose. Persistence is the decision to keep moving forward, even when everything around you suggests that stopping would be easier. It is the quiet determination to take one more step, even when the road ahead is shrouded in darkness and the weight of uncertainty presses heavily on your shoulders. Challenges have a way of testing not only our abilities but also our resolve. When life becomes difficult, it is tempting to pause, to delay action, or to turn back entirely. Yet the difference between those who reach their goals and those who fall short often comes down to the willingness to keep going when the motivation has faded and the outcome is not yet in sight. In the early stages of pursuing a goal, energy and enthusiasm are usually abundant. The vision is clear and the excitement of possibility propels us forward. But as time passes, obstacles emerge, progress slows, and the journey begins to feel longer than expected. It is here that persistence becomes essential. Without it, even the most talented and capable individuals can falter. Persistence carries us through the stretches of the path where no visible reward is present, where the only progress is internal, and where the temptation to quit whispers loudly. The nature of persistence is that it often requires moving forward without the guarantee of immediate results. It demands faith in the process and belief that effort invested today will eventually bear fruit. This is not blind optimism. It is a practical understanding that growth and achievement are built over time through consistent action. Every small step taken during difficult moments compounds into significant progress, but that progress is only realized by those who do not give up. Persistence is not about ignoring difficulties or pretending they do not exist. It is about acknowledging them, adapting where necessary, and continuing to move forward despite them. A person who persists learns to navigate setbacks without letting them become permanent roadblocks. They treat failure as feedback, adjusting their methods rather than abandoning their mission. Over time, this habit of pressing on strengthens confidence, making future challenges less intimidating. There is a certain resilience that develops when persistence becomes part of a person's character. Each time we choose to keep going in the face of difficulty, we reinforce the belief that we are capable of enduring and overcoming. This belief creates a momentum of its own, making it easier to persist the next time adversity appears. Over months and years, the cumulative effect of these choices can transform both the individual and their circumstances in ways that quitting could never achieve. When the path is dark and uncertain, persistence becomes the light that guides the next step. It is not always dramatic or filled with visible breakthroughs, but it is steady and unyielding. It carries us over the unseen hills and through the hidden valleys until, at last, the distance traveled reveals that every step, especially the hard ones, was worth taking. The words we speak to ourselves carry immense power, shaping the way we perceive challenges and influencing the actions we take in response. In moments of difficulty, the inner voice becomes either our greatest ally or our most destructive critic. When faced with obstacles, some allow their self-talk to spiral into doubt, fear, and self-defeat. Repeating phrases like, "I can't do this," or "this is impossible," these words do not simply reflect our mood, they reinforce it, creating a mental environment where giving up feels inevitable. By contrast, those who speak to themselves with courage and determination build an internal foundation strong enough to withstand the weight of adversity. The mind listens closely to the language we feed it. When we consciously choose to speak words of encouragement, even when circumstances are grim, we send a signal that we are still in control of our attitude and our response. This does not mean ignoring reality or pretending that the situation is easy. Rather, it means acknowledging the difficulty while affirming our capacity to face it. Saying, "This will be tough, but I can handle it," plants a seed of resilience that grows with each repetition. Over time, such statements become ingrained beliefs, and those beliefs drive actions that lead to perseverance and eventual success. In challenging moments, self-talk acts as a form of leadership over the self. Just as a leader must inspire their team to push through hard times, we must lead our own thoughts in a direction that sustains hope and fuels action. This requires conscious effort, especially when emotions are running high and the temptation to think negatively is strong. Replacing self-defeating statements with empowering ones is a discipline, one that must be practiced daily until it becomes natural. The quality of our inner dialogue often determines how long we remain in the fight. When the inner voice is encouraging, it becomes easier to try again after a failure, to rise after a setback, and to keep moving forward when progress is slow. This voice reminds us of past victories, of times when we thought we could not continue but did anyway. It draws strength from memory and uses it to inspire present action. Changing self-talk also has a direct impact on emotional state. Words of confidence and determination calm anxiety, sharpen focus, and reduce the mental fatigue that comes from constant self-criticism. They create a mental climate in which solutions become easier to see, because the mind is no longer clouded by hopelessness. Just as negativity narrows perspective, positivity opens it, revealing options that were hidden when the mind was trapped in defeatist thinking. The transformation begins the moment we take ownership of the conversation happening within. Even in silence, we are always speaking to ourselves, and those unspoken words shape our endurance, our courage, and our willingness to keep going. By choosing those words wisely, we equip ourselves with a source of strength that no external force can take away. Hardship often arrives like an uninvited guest, disrupting our plans and shaking the foundations we have built. In those moments, it is easy to believe that the weight of the challenge is greater than our capacity to bear it. Yet the truth is that the human will is far more powerful than most realize. There exists within every person a reservoir of strength, determination, and adaptability that only reveals itself when tested. This inner force does not come from outside approval or favorable circumstances. It comes from the decision to keep moving forward despite the discomfort, the uncertainty, and the fear. When life presses hard against us, we often think we have reached our limit. But limits are not fixed. They expand when we push beyond them. What feels impossible at first becomes manageable once we take the first step, and what was once overwhelming becomes a challenge we can navigate. The will to endure does not require that we see the entire path ahead. It only asks that we commit to the next step. That commitment, repeated again and again, is what transforms hardship into progress. Believing that our will is stronger than any obstacle changes how we respond to adversity. Instead of being crushed by the weight of our problems, we begin to see ourselves as capable of carrying them until we find solutions. This belief shifts our mindset from passive suffering to active problem solving. It does not erase the hardship, but it prevents the hardship from defining us. The moment we decide that we will not be broken, we create an internal stance that resists defeat. The strength of will is built through choices. Every time we confront a problem instead of running from it, every time we rise after being knocked down, we add another layer to our resilience. These moments of perseverance may seem small in isolation, but they accumulate over time, forming a foundation that can withstand much heavier burdens in the future. The will is like a muscle. The more it is used, the stronger it becomes. One of the most important realizations is that this inner strength is not dependent on perfect circumstances. In fact, it is often in the worst conditions that it shines the brightest. History and personal experience alike show that people can endure loss, failure, rejection, and hardship far beyond what they once believed possible. The common thread is a refusal to give up, a determination to keep going even when the outcome is uncertain. The will to endure also inspires others. When people witness someone holding their ground in the face of adversity, it sparks courage within them to face their own challenges. Strength in this way is contagious. By refusing to surrender, we not only move ourselves forward, but also set an example that resilience is possible, even in the harshest conditions, and with every challenge we survive. Our belief in our own capacity grows stronger, creating a cycle where hardship no longer feels like an unbeatable enemy, but rather a test we are fully capable of passing. When hardship appears, the instinct for many is to retreat, to preserve comfort by avoiding the discomfort of the struggle. Yet difficulty is not a signal to turn back, it is a call to rise. Challenges are not placed in our path merely to slow us down, but to awaken parts of ourselves that would otherwise remain dormant. The moment life pushes against us is the very moment we are being summoned to step into greater strength, deeper resilience, and clearer purpose. Rising in the face of hardship begins with a decision. It is the decision to stand tall when everything around you urges you to collapse, to hold your ground when the easier choice is to surrender. This is not about ignoring fear or pretending the challenge is small. It is about acknowledging the weight of the moment while refusing to let it define you. Standing tall in difficulty is an act of defiance against the forces that seek to diminish your spirit. Responding to hardship as a summons to rise changes the energy you bring to the situation. Instead of shrinking under the pressure, you lean into it, meeting it head on. This shift turns adversity into a proving ground where your skills, patience, and courage are tested and refined. Each step forward in such moments sends a message to yourself that you are capable of more than you thought possible. Over time, this repeated choice to rise becomes part of your identity. You begin to see yourself as someone who will not be easily broken. This call to rise often requires pushing beyond the familiar and stepping into discomfort. Growth rarely happens in the safety of what we already know. It takes shape in the uncharted territory of new challenges. Rising means taking action even when the outcome is uncertain, speaking with courage even when your voice trembles, and persevering even when there is no immediate sign of progress. It means trusting that the act of standing up in the storm will prepare you for the clear skies that follow. There is a transformative power in choosing to rise rather than retreat. It builds self-respect, for nothing strengthens confidence like keeping your head high in moments that could have crushed you. It teaches you to find stability within yourself rather than depending solely on external circumstances for strength. The more often you respond to hardship with this mindset, the more natural it becomes to meet difficulty without hesitation. In rising, you also inspire others who are watching, whether you realize it or not. People notice the ones who face storms without losing their composure, and your choice to stand tall may become the spark that ignites their own courage. In this way, the call to rise does more than carry you through your own challenges. It creates a ripple effect, encouraging strength in those who witness it. Hardship may arrive uninvited, but the decision to rise transforms it into a stage on which resilience, determination, and unshakable will are displayed in their truest form when difficulty appears. It is natural to see it as a reason to stop, to retreat, or to question whether the path is worth continuing. Yet, in truth, hardship is often a call to rise, a signal that the moment to grow beyond our current limits has arrived. Life rarely tests us when we are unprepared. Instead, it places challenges before us to awaken the strength and resourcefulness that may have been lying dormant. The presence of a struggle is not proof of defeat, but evidence that we are standing at the edge of an important transformation. Rising in the face of hardship begins with a decision. It is the decision to meet adversity head-on rather than waiting for it to pass. Many wait for the storm to clear before taking action. But those who rise know that the act of standing firm in the storm is what builds the ability to weather future ones. This rising is not always dramatic. It might be as simple as choosing to try again after failure, to face a fear instead of avoiding it, or to speak up when silence feels safer. Each act of rising strengthens the belief that we are capable of more than we thought. A challenge can feel like a wall, solid and immovable, blocking our way forward. But when we rise to meet it, the wall often turns out to be a staircase in disguise, each step demanding effort, yet each step also lifting us higher. The process is uncomfortable, and at times even painful, but it shifts our perspective. We begin to see that the very thing we thought was stopping us is in fact helping us climb. This is why those who face hardship with courage often look back later and say that the struggle was a turning point in their lives. Rising also means refusing to be defined by circumstances. It is acknowledging the reality of what is happening without letting it dictate the limits of what is possible. Circumstances can change, resources can be found, and situations can improve, but only if we are willing to step forward when it feels most difficult. Every time we choose to stand, we reclaim power from the situation and place it back in our own hands. This call to rise is not a one-time event, but a recurring part of life. Challenges will come in many forms: loss, uncertainty, rejection, failure, and each one will whisper the same question. Will you stand or will you surrender? The answer we give shapes not only the outcome of the moment, but the person we become. By choosing to rise, we train ourselves to respond with courage instead of fear, determination instead of defeat. Over time, rising becomes a habit, a natural response to difficulty, and it turns even the harshest trials into opportunities to prove our strength, expand our capabilities, and move closer to the life we are meant to build. Growth is often misunderstood as something that comes from adding more comfort, ease, or convenience to life, but in reality, it is forged in the fires of endurance. When challenges arise, they present us with an opportunity to stretch beyond the limits we thought defined us. Each time we choose to keep going when it would be easier to quit, we expand our capacity to handle more in the future. The hardships themselves do not automatically create growth. It is the act of enduring them, of staying present and persistent through the discomfort, that brings about transformation. Life will not stop presenting obstacles simply because we have faced difficulties before. In fact, the path forward often brings greater challenges, each demanding more patience, resilience, and creativity than the last. This is why enduring present struggles is essential. It is training for the obstacles yet to come. The patience learned while waiting for change, the discipline developed in showing up each day despite slow progress, and the self-control built in moments of frustration all become tools we carry into the future. Endurance also deepens self-awareness. When we are forced to remain in a challenging situation, we come face to face with our strengths, weaknesses, and tendencies. We learn where we are quick to lose focus, where fear holds us back, and where we underestimate ourselves. This self-knowledge becomes a powerful asset, as it allows us to work intentionally on the areas that need growth, while leveraging the strengths that have proven reliable in past trials. Over time, the very act of enduring changes the way we perceive hardship. Struggles no longer appear solely as threats, but as opportunities to reinforce what we have built within ourselves. This shift in perspective reduces the fear that often accompanies new challenges. We begin to trust in our ability to navigate difficulty because we have done it before. Each past trial serves as a reminder that we can face uncertainty without collapsing under its weight. Endurance also builds quiet confidence. This is not the kind of confidence that boasts loudly or seeks attention, but the steady assurance that comes from having been tested and proven. It is the confidence of someone who knows they can walk through the storm because they have done it before. This kind of strength cannot be faked or borrowed. It is earned through the repeated decision to keep moving forward when stopping seemed more appealing. The growth that comes from endurance is lasting because it is built through real experience. It is not dependent on fleeting motivation or favorable conditions. It becomes part of who we are, woven into the way we think and act. The more we endure, the more resilient we become, and the more capable we are of facing whatever life presents next. In this way, hardship transforms from something to fear into something that shapes us into a stronger, wiser, and more prepared version of ourselves. Life will never promise an easy road, but it will always offer the chance to grow stronger. Every challenge you face is proof that you are capable of more than you know. Stand tall, keep moving, and let every hardship become the reason you rise.